Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Kamusta na mga ka-addict? First of July, I had an accident. It was a bad fall, leaving me with broken LED board and a damaged throttle. I had to change the trigger throttle with the thumb throttle, including speed switch for gear option. I also changed the stock controller with a new one. In this video, you will see how I installed the thumb throttle, speed switch, and the new controller. Let's start. I started with the controller. The stock controller is 48 volts and it is only 450 watts. The new controller is 48 volts, 600 to 1000 watts. Obviously, it is higher than the rated wattage of my motor hub. I highly recommend that the controller and the motor should match the wattage ratings to each other. Equal rating will make the motor to run with its maximum power and sustain without getting burnt or overheating. Since the size of the new controller is larger than the stock one and cannot be installed inside the deck, in order to accomplish this project, I came up with the idea of installing it into the grab bar. To make it possible, I changed the layout of the grab bar where I can set the new controller into place, and extended all the necessary wires of the controller and ran the wires from this side all the way to the other side. I had to realign the whole sensor wires and the motor phase wires of the motor hub for easy access during the final installation. I started extending the motor phase wires. These three large wire, blue, green, and yellow, are the motor phase wires. Since I don't have extra green wire, I used the blue wire and covered it with colored green heat shrink for color code. Thus, it'll be easy to identify which one is which. I installed back the grab bar and placed the new controller. This is to measure the enough length needed for the extensions. These black and red wires are for the battery extension. These are 14 gauge wires. I also provided fuse for safety purposes. XT60 for the connector. Make sure to provide enough length for the extensions. This is 20 gauge wires for extending the switch wire and other wires. Next was connecting the wire extension for the power wires. Remember that these two wires, black and red, will be connected directly to the battery or the power source. I highly recommend to use a fuse for safety purposes. Follow the indicated sign, positive, negative, on the connector to make sure you get the right polarity. Black is negative, red is positive. Next was the switch extension. Then, installing the bullet connector on the motor phase wires. In order to get strong and reliable connection, solder the area where the bullet connector holds the wire. Color coding was next. This thin wire will be connected to the green wire of the key switch ignition. And this another thin wire will go to the black wire of the key switch ignition. Then I put 30 amp blade fuse. Before going through all the wire extensions, I did a test. This is the key switch ignition wire. I connected the key switch ignition wire to the controller. Key switch green wire goes to the red positive wire coming from the controller, which is connected to the battery. Then, key switch black wire goes to the black negative power wire coming from the controller, which is connected to the battery. And then lastly, key switch red wire connects to the red switch wire coming from the controller.
It sound right, boys.
Next was motor phase wire connection. In this case, my controller has different color combination. The blue wire from the controller goes to the yellow wire of the motor hub phase wire, and the yellow wire from the controller goes to the blue wire of the motor hub phase wire. The green stays with the green wire. Then, I connected the whole sensor wires. Again, in this case, my controller has different color combination. Blue to yellow, yellow to blue, and green stays with the green. Thumb throttle was next. It has 3 wires. The red is the positive 5 volts, black is the ground, and the white wire is the signal. These are the throttle wires coming from the controller. Positive 5 volts, the ground, and the green is the signal. Red to red, black to black, and white to green. Then, I connected the power source and turned on the key switch ignition. Speed switch was next. It has 3 wires. This is the 3-speed wire coming from the controller. Some controllers have labels. You can use Google Lens if it's written in Chinese. In my controller, the 3-speed wires has color black, purple, and gray. Now, this is how it works. The black wire in the middle is the ground. Each time the ground wire connects to one of these 2 wires, purple and gray, the speed will vary or change depending on the combination. To find out which combination is gear 1, gear 2, and gear 3, you need to fully press and hold the throttle. While the motor is spinning, ground the 2 other wires with the black wire one at a time. Use a U-shaped wire. In my controller, gear 1 is combination of black and purple. Gear 3, black and gray. Gear 2, only the black alone. Time to connect the speed switch. Black and red is gear 3, black and green is gear 1. Red wire goes to gray, black wire goes to black, and the green goes to purple. And then, I gave it a try. Let's start with gear 1. Next is gear 2. Then gear 3. Time to extend all the necessary wires. Throttle wires, hall sensor wires, 3-speed wires, and the alarm wires. This wire is the power supply for the alarm kit. It is linked directly to the battery. That is why I also added fuse for safety purposes. The fuse box is loaded with 3 amps blade fuse. Finally, done soldering all the wire extensions. Make sure that all connections are soldered and covered properly and securely. Since all the extension wires are mostly color red, I provided 5 different colors of electric tape for color coding. This will make the job easy when identifying which wire is which. I started with the 3-speed wire, blue for the purple, white for the gray, black for the black. Then I gathered the 3-speed wires and secured with heat shrink in order not to mismatch the wires. I did same procedure for the rest of the wires. Next was I installed the connectors. Since I will not use these wires, I had to cut all of it. Keep the cut connectors as this will be your guide to find out which wire is which in case you will need these wires in the future. And then, secure the wires with heat shrink to avoid short circuit. Finally done installing all the connectors. This cable that has 6 core wires is from the old throttle wire. I organized and secured the wires with electric tape. What I did here is that I made the hole bigger, big enough to have sufficient space for the wire of the controller. I used a hacksaw and smoothened the surface with a needle file. Make sure there are no sharp edges, areas that could cut the wires as they may result often live wires that will tend to short circuits. Installing the thumb throttle and the speed switch was next. I had to uninstall the bar and mirror handle grip and the damaged old throttle. Then, I installed the speed switch and the thumb throttle. Make sure to angle the throttle and the speed switch based on your comfortable position. Since the wire of the speed switch is short, I decided to extend it using the old throttle wire. This is the old throttle wire. Soldered and covered with heat shrink. Next was the thumb throttle. Since there is no more enough space to run the wire through the handlebar stem, I decided to cut and extend the thumb throttle wires using the 3 available wires of the old throttle. Wire management was next. I used hook and loop cable strap to secure the wires. After the wire management, I proceeded for the installation of the connectors for the throttle, speed switch, and the key switch ignition. This cable is the extension for the thumb throttle and the speed switch. I started installing the connectors on the key switch ignition wires, throttle, and the speed switch. The key switch ignition connector is ready. Next was the thumb throttle. Color coding was next for the speed switch. Remember that the blue tape goes to the purple wire of the 3-speed wires, and the white tape goes to the gray wire, and the black goes to the black wire. Now, all the connectors for the key switch ignition, throttle, and speed switch are set in place. Now, it's time to run all the extension wires through the deck from one side to the other opening side of the deck. Before the execution, I removed temporarily the battery charging port to have better access while running or sliding the wires through the deck. And I also relocated the brake cable wire. Then, installed back the grab bar. Then I tape and organize all the wires. And started connecting the motor phase wires and hall sensor wires. Slowly and carefully run the wires through the deck until the wire reach the other opening side. Secure the controller with zip ties. Then I returned the battery charging port. Now, this is the final connection. Since the wires are color coded, it is very easy to get the right wire connection. Wire connection is finally done. Then I installed back the deck cover. Next was the acrylic board. As you can see, there is a small cut next to the hole where I placed the grab bar. It's a dedicated space for the controller wire. Thanks to Roderick of Media Store for helping me out to fulfill this project. Carefully move the grab bar since the controller is installed into it. Always mind whenever you move the controller because of the wires. Once the grab bar is installed securely, then everything is set in place. The controller rests safely into the grab bar. This is the last part. Small piece of acrylic board to cover the controller. I provided bolts and nuts, also red aluminum washers. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to support my channel by liking, commenting, and sharing all my videos. At syempre, maraming salamat po. Muli kayong naligaw sa channel ko.